It is currently close to 11:30 p.m. in Australia. And here I got a whole glass of coffee. Hey guys, what's good? It's Ray. I already kind of know what I'm going to name this video. It's going to be somewhere along the line of, this is the hardest video I've ever made. And on one hand, it is true, it's not a clickbait, but it is not entirely because of the game itself. So as I've just shown you guys, it's currently 11:30 p.m. in Australia, Saturday, and I have a flight to catch 12 p.m. Sunday. So in exactly 12 and a half hours, I have a flight to catch to fly to China for a trip. So yeah, in the next 12 and a half hours, I'm gonna have to film this video, edit it, and pull off an all-nighter to play more Dragon Ball Z because I haven't actually finished this game yet. In fact, I'm probably not gonna be able to finish it today, but I'll try to play as much as possible. So yeah, this is like a last minute project. So without further ado, let's get started. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is an open world RPG title which, as the title suggests, is a video game linked with one of the most popular Japanese anime of all time, Dragon Ball Z. And how do I put it? I'm excited for the game because it was exactly what I thought it was going to be, but I'm also a little disappointed with the game because it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. What do I mean? Let me explain. So this game relives the story Goku goes through in Dragon Ball Z. You start from the start of the anime where Goku defeats Piccolo at the end of the original Dragon Ball right before Raditz visited planet Earth to start the Saiyan Saga, which is the first saga of Dragon Ball Z. Things then go in order from that point. If you've watched the Dragon Ball Z anime, you would know exactly what I'm talking about, so I won't go through it again. So where should I start with regarding the detail of this game? I guess a good point to start, and obviously my favorite point of this game, is clearly the story, because the story of Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is essentially just Dragon Ball Z the anime, which is on par with Pokemon, Digimon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and a lot more. Some of my favorite animes of all time. It was some of my childhood memory, and reliving that memory in this game got me really excited. I'm constantly excited and almost spastic throughout my playthrough, even though I know exactly what's coming next. Like at the end of the Frieza saga, where Vegeta, the Saiyan Prince, was crying and begging Goku to avenge Planet Vegeta, and when Goku finally became a Super Saiyan. Those are things I've watched like a million times as a kid, but when the moment comes again in this game, I'm still incredibly excited. And another good thing about that is, if you've watched Dragon Ball Z like me, you would be like me that would act as a motivation for you to keep exploring and keep battling. Because throughout the battles, you'll go like, oh, in like 2 more battles, Goku will learn how to use Kaioken. Or like, oh, by the end of this saga, Gohan would be able to transform into Super Saiyan 2. So knowing these things doesn't actually discourage you from playing the game, but at least for me, it's encouraging me to keep pushing the story because I know what's to come next and I know exactly what I'm expecting. As much as I love the story of this game, which is essentially just Dragon Ball Z the anime, the exploration element of this open world title, I'm a little more mixed about. I didn't exactly hate it, but I definitely did not love it. So there's a certain element of exploration in this game combined with the main story, which includes side quests and a bunch of collectibles. The thing I liked a lot about Dragon Ball is that it doesn't really have too many collectibles, which I feel like a lot of open world RPGs nowadays have. But this does not mean the exploration element in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is perfect. As I just said, I don't hate it, but I definitely don't love it, and a key reason to that is the side quests, or as this game calls it, the sub-stories. So a lot of the sub-stories, I feel like first, it lacks a variety. It's often very repetitive and could often get tedious if it is involved in collecting ingredients like food or minerals or whatever. It just involves you running around collecting things, getting some XP, which gives you a strong feeling of I'm just grinding the game for more XP, which I don't really need anyways, but there's a sub-story there anyways, so I may as well do it. Like, it gave me a strong sense of that. So that is one element of the game I really didn't like. Another thing that's a little bit annoying but not exactly game breaking is Z orbs. So Z orbs are just orbs you will be able to see all around the map. They are literally everywhere and they come in mostly red, blue, and green, and a few other special colors, and they act as, I guess, kind of XP. So, you know, like every single RPG out there, this game has a skill tree, and orbs are used to unlock new skills. So what's annoying about this is because they are legitimately everywhere, and by that I mean literally everywhere. You're always annoyed, like, if I don't collect them and just run straight for the mission, I feel like I'm missing out on something. Like, you have the worry, like, what if later I need to upgrade my skill tree and I don't have enough orbs? But if you try to collect all of them, you're never reaching the final destination of the mission point. Just, that's never happening. There's way too many Z orbs to collect. So it's not game breaking, but for me, because I like collecting everything as much as I can, it does get a little annoying for me. Finally though, the most tedious of all, random enemy encounters. Just like Z orbs, these random enemies are everywhere, and they are tedious for two reasons. One, they are not very strong. They normally take around 1 minute to defeat, which means they'll give you close to no XP at all. There's no reason to battle them at all. And secondly, they're constantly in your way, especially when you're trying to look for a collectible or you're trying to gather some ingredients, because you're not like flying straight ahead. So you could easily run into them because they come to you, and it's so tedious because I don't want to battle these random enemies. That doesn't do me any good and just wastes a minute of my game time. And every single time I'm trying to gather resources, I run into like 5 of them. So out of all things in the exploration section, the random encounter is definitely, by far, the most tedious. Battling mechanism. Now, I'm no expert with battling mechanisms with these type of games like Dragonball FighterZ. These type of 2D, 2.5D, or 3D type of one-on-one battle is never really my cup of tea. So take my words with a grain of salt when I talk about the battle mechanism. The controls are pretty standard in my opinion. There's nothing too difficult, and in a few battles you'll pretty much get a hang to the game and the battle mechanism. From that point, battles do eventually get harder, and I do want to give this game props because the enemies got harder in a very logical way. So out of all ways to increase difficulty in video games, the way I hate the most by far is making you fight the same enemy just with higher health, attack, and defense. Like, that is just extreme laziness to me because the enemy doesn't get smarter, you're not spending more effort, it's just a matter of leveling up at that point, and it is incredibly boring. Which is where I gotta give Dragon Ball Z props because they are not doing that. In the game, the difficulty gradually improves in a much better way. So earlier in the game, your enemies don't really know how to parry or deflect your attacks. You can pretty easily pull off a combo against them, which for me is normally spam attack and then use Kamehameha. But later in the game, you realize it doesn't work anymore because the enemies get smarter and smarter, and it becomes a lot harder to pull off a full combo attack. So consequentially, you have to be much smarter with your dodging and use of skills. In that, I really admire what this game has done. A key reason I don't really like pure fighting games is because I feel like it's so repetitive and it could easily get boring for me. However, with this game, it hasn't been the case so far. On one hand, it is that I wish to progress more in the story and relive this whole Dragon Ball Z thing, but on the other hand, the battling mechanisms haven't been boring yet. It's been quite interesting. I can see myself improving, and I can see the enemy improving. And for me, that's a very logical and, in my opinion, just the best way to improve the difficulty of a game. If you've been on the channel for a while, you would know that at the end of these type of review videos, normally what I would like to talk about is the price of the game and how long the game is, because for me that is an important indicator of whether this game is worth it. But I can't do that in this video because I have not finished the game. In fact, I'm not even close to finishing the game. As much as I tried, in the past 36 hours which I've had the game, I've only played for around 11 hours, which, trust me, is literally all the time I had on my hand, and I just got to the point of finishing the Frieza saga. Which is why, after filming and editing all these parts of the video, I will pull off an all-nighter and play as much as possible until I have to go to the airport. So yeah, unfortunately I can't talk about that. At the end of that, I will make a forecast on how long I think the game is. Before we conclude, I would just like to add something new from this video onwards in every single review video, which is knowing the size of this channel. From this point onwards, at the end of every video, I will briefly talk about the Metacritic rating and the user rating on Metacritic about the game I'm reviewing, just to show you guys an idea of what people think about this game with more authority and authenticity, I guess. Combining that with my own opinion, kind of give you guys a more holistic picture of what the game is about, because the whole point of these type of videos is to help you have a brief idea of what the game is about before you decide you want to buy it or not. So Dragon Ball Z Kakarot has a Metacritic rating of 78, which is not mediocre, but also no more than just above average. But it has a really good user rating of 8.9. And I feel like, from my understanding, that is likely due to nostalgia. It is literally the story of Dragon Ball Z retold in the form of a video game. And for us 90s kids, Dragon Ball Z would be one of our favorite animes for a lot of people. And I'm sure a lot of people would be excited like I am when they are playing this game, because they are also reliving a part of their childhood. Which is why I can understand that the user rating of this game is incredibly high. For me personally, I would give it an 8 out of 10 so far. 8 out of 10, it's a good game, but not a game I would be addicted to or strongly recommend. If you are a fan of Dragon Ball Z the anime, you would have likely already picked it up. If you are not a fan, but you do like JRPGs, you can try, but I'm not strongly recommending this game. Normally, this is the end of the video, but I'm gonna pull an all-nighter, so I will see you guys in a few hours, and I'll briefly talk about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot a bit more after an all-nighter. Let's go. Hey guys, what's good? It's Ray. It's currently 5:55 in the morning. I'm heading to the airport in like 2.5 to 3 hours roughly. And yeah, let's just check my progress with the game. I played for another like 3 hours almost. I am very slow at editing. I played for another 3 hours. I just got to the start of, I guess, the Android saga, which is like the early stage of the Cell saga. I'm currently on 14 hours. I got some stuff to pack, and on top of that, I'm about to pass out. So that's it for this video. My forecast is that the game is going to be around 30 to 35-ish hours long, because it's been 14 hours. I've barely started the Cell saga, and the Majin Buu saga is also pretty long. With that said, do you look forward to this game? Are you going to pick it up? Have you already picked it up? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.